this is something I've had to work through for myself for a long time. And if I could just go back 10 years ago and give myself some of this advice, it would have saved me so much time and also just helped me feel like I had a little bit of direction. Today I want to talk about the things that actually helped soften the hormonal symptoms I was experiencing when I was diagnosed with PCOS. Most people think there's nothing I can do when I'm diagnosed with PCOS, but actually there's so much that we can do to take agency back and soften some of these symptoms that we're experiencing. A lot of women who I talk to that have been diagnosed with PCOS have no idea what to do or if there's anything they can do at all. And what I will say from my own experience is there's so much that we can do. I've shared my story several times in bits and pieces, but I struggled with hormonal symptoms for years and years, and at one point was finally diagnosed with PCOS. And I kind of thought like, oh, by slapping a label on it, finally I'll know exactly what to do, or someone will know what to give me that helps soften all of these symptoms, that helps all of these symptoms go away. But that was not the truth. I also kind of thought like, okay, once I was diagnosed with this, I'm just gonna have to manage my hormones forever. I'm probably not going to feel good. And I'm just gonna have to deal with my hormones fluctuating forever. My body's just never going to work like other people's does. But later I learned through my own trial and error and research that there's so much that I can do to support my body that creates an optimal environment for my body to help soften some of those symptoms that I was experiencing. Before being diagnosed with PCOS, and even after, it felt very overwhelming. It feels very confusing and almost validating that like, yes, my body is broken. It doesn't know what to do. I was even feeling like I would look at myself in the mirror and not even recognize myself, look at myself in photos and not even recognize myself. I'm like, that's not even the person that I feel like I am inside. If I felt so confused about my body fluctuations and not knowing what to do, and like my body was working against me constantly. A lot of other women that I talk to who are struggling with PCOS have said like nothing seems to make sense. It feels like I do XYZ and I see no response, or I stop doing anything and nothing changes either. So like, why am I trying so hard? And other women have also shared with me that they too feel like when they look in the mirror, see photos, they don't even recognize themselves in their body. They've shared that they also feel like they just don't know what to do. They don't know what moves the needle. They don't know what direction to move in, and they just feel stuck. And I know so many of us are thinking some things that we don't actually say out loud, which are like, this is so unfair. Why can't my body just work like everybody else's? Or my body is constantly working against me, or I can't even look at myself in photos. I don't want to be in photos because I feel so ashamed and out of control. And most of us are making it mean that our body is broken and it doesn't know how to work like everyone else's does. Everyone's experience is a little bit different, but for myself, I was struggling with a lot of severe acne on my face and my back. My hair was thinning and falling out. I had gained like 30 pounds in 3 months, and my weight for years was all over the place. Like I would gain and lose the same 20 or 30 pounds, and I was just so puffy and inflamed. And I had horrible brain fog. I could fall asleep instantly, no matter where I was. I had horrible gut issues going on. Like I felt so intolerant to so many foods, and like I just couldn't eat anything without my stomach hurting and my digestion getting messed up. I had horrible periods. The cramping that I got was debilitating, like calling into work, not being able to get out of bed, on the floor screaming because my cramps hurt so bad. And I know a lot of people's symptoms are different, but I just wanted to share mine because it does feel isolating and like nobody understands. I think what's underneath a lot of the feelings of confusion is just feeling really frustrated that you can't get answers, that it seems like there's no clear path forward, and that there's no one there to help advocate for you or help you learn about your body and give you some clear direction. And what we're really after sometimes by confiding in people is just validation that this sucks, that I don't know what's going on, that it feels like my body's working against me and it just really sucks. Then also what we're after is some clarity, right? Clarity on what actually helps. how do I understand my body? How do I advocate for myself? So yes, it's very true that dealing with PCOS symptoms feels very confusing. It feels confusing about what's going to make a difference. What do I do? How do I help myself? But focusing on our bodies as the problem is not the real problem here. But rather, if we can focus our attention on what environment am I creating internally that is allowing symptoms of PCOS to be exacerbated or manifesting as PCOS symptoms, this can be really, really helpful. So we start looking at imbalances, deficiencies, toxicities that are manifesting as hormonal symptoms. So yes, PCOS is real. Please don't hear me saying it's not real. But from my experience, there's so much I was able to do when focusing on imbalances and deficiencies that helps soften my own symptoms. I'm not saying this works for everybody. I'm not a doctor, but I just want to share some things that I learned to look into that might be worth exploring for yourself too. I'm not here to treat or diagnose PCOS. I'm just here to share some of the things that helped move the needle for me and really helped soften some of the symptoms I was experiencing from PCOS, and hoping that maybe looking into some of these things for yourself could be helpful. There are a few things that I found to look into that really helped me not only take agency back for my own health, but also actually made a difference in what I was feeling in my body. The first thing that really moved the needle for me was looking into gut health and learning how gut health impacts our hormones and how our body is feeling. I did some gut microbiome testing that revealed some overgrowths of yeast and candida that were really contributing to a lot of the symptoms I was experiencing. And so when I was able to focus on, okay, how do I rebalance my gut microbiome? That completely changed my body. Another thing that really made a difference for me was testing my hormones. So utilizing the Dutch test, which is looks at hormone metabolites, was a game changer for me, especially with the symptoms that I was experiencing. It exposed that maybe the way my body was metabolizing testosterone was contributing to some of the symptoms that I was experiencing, like acne and my hair thinning and being really brittle. Another key thing was learning about blood sugar regulation. I didn't know at the time that me needing to eat every 2 hours and getting super hangry and feeling like my energy was all over the place and getting really shaky was probably a sign that I needed to look into blood sugar regulation. And once I did this, once I learned some of the things that help keep my blood sugar more stable throughout the day, and I actually used some supplementation that really helped with this, it really changed my hormones and my gut health and the way that I was feeling. All of this is so connected, but blood sugar regulation was a huge needle mover for me. And the last one that really made a huge difference was nervous system work. So I started with a lot of those other things, which really helped soften some of those symptoms pretty quickly. But once I felt like I could kind of see a little bit more clearly and the symptoms weren't so in my face, learning how to support the resiliency of my nervous system and how it's meant to oscillate between fight or flight and rest and digest made a huge difference. Now, yes, I leaned on tools like breath work, but there are a lot more deeper things that were constantly keeping my body stuck in fight or flight. And I encourage you for yourself to kind of maybe consider exploring this area, because this is the really deep work that keeps us feeling healthy in our bodies long term. And so I know these are pretty broad and big pillars, but they're just a few areas to consider exploring that made a huge difference for me. Because at the time I had no idea that I could be looking into gut health, that I could be doing a Dutch test to look at how my hormones are metabolized, that regulating my blood sugar was going to make such a big difference for me, and that nervous system work was the real key to lasting change for my body. So a more supportive approach to make this not feel so overwhelming, I first invite you to start challenging your thought that your body is broken. I know this feels very hard, but for me, when I started thinking about, okay, what might my body be trying to tell me? How do I think about any sort of deficiencies or toxicities or imbalances that could be going on in my body? That completely changed what I was focusing on rather than my body being broken and the problem in it not knowing how to work properly. So a thought you can borrow is like, your body is not broken. We just need to create a more balanced or healthy environment that enables it to thrive. So what does this look like in real life? This can look like multiple things. I'll share what it looked like for me. It looked like doing gut microbiome testing and doing protocols based on my own lab results. It looked like regularly doing Dutch hormone testing and utilizing supplements and food and lifestyle changes based on my own lab results again. And then another very real life component here is learning what does dysregulated blood sugar feel like in our body? A page that taught me a lot was The Glucose Goddess. I learned so much there about how does food and the timing and the pairing of food impact our blood sugar? What are supplements that we can utilize to support blood sugar regulation? How does sleep and stress impact blood sugar? Those things all are very tactical things that you can go do right now for free. Also, a very tactical thing is just simply learning how to support our nervous system. How do we move our body into rest and digest so that it can oscillate between rest and digest and fight or flight? So one very tactical thing is using breath work. That's a very easy entry point to supporting our nervous system. Again, there are so many other layers there, but that's just a helpful place to be able to start while we go learn more. The solution feels very unnatural because our body feels like it's all over the place. It feels like none of this will actually work. It feels like it's supposed to be, it feels very complicated. And I know that we really want just like one single pillar, one solution that's going to fix this all for us. But I'm telling you that by learning more about some of these things, it not only helps you take agency back, but it helps you create lasting change. It helps you learn what you can do if you ever start feeling things shift in the future. It helps you learn some of like the signs that you're getting off track again, or it helps you learn how to actually support your body through this. It's so easy to blame our body as the problem. That's what we're modeled, that's what we're taught to do. And so there's nothing wrong with you for doing that, but that does keep us stuck and keeps us in this loop of not knowing what to do. And it's so easy for our brains to default back to our body being the problem because we've practiced this for so long. Because the symptoms feel really hard. And it does feel like our body is working against us. And so it makes sense that it's easier for our brain to go to, my body is broken. There's something wrong with my body. And when our body feels like it's working against us, we just want something so badly, just one thing that will make it all better, make it all go away. So to make this really simple, I invite you to ask yourself, like, okay, what has worked for me in the past and what hasn't? And when you're in the thick of it, it's so easy to say nothing has worked for me. But if you think about periods of time where you felt really good, what were you doing? What were you not doing? It can be really helpful to ask, like, which of these areas have I looked into? Is it worth looking into one of them more? It could be really helpful to ask, how can I get support or guidance? There are a lot of free ways, and then maybe making a financial investment would be really helpful to invest in someone that can help kind of guide you or give you some helpful things to consider. And a really helpful question that I challenge you to check in with often is, do I believe it is possible that my body knows how to function on its own? Do I believe it is possible that my body is not broken? And a final really helpful question might be, which of these areas have I explored? Which areas haven't I explored? And I'm not saying that these work for everybody, but they're just helpful things to consider looking into. So maybe it's not about forcing your body into submission or looking for one magic thing that's going to make you feel better, but rather understanding imbalances that may be contributing to or exacerbating the symptoms you're experiencing from PCOS. If you're struggling with PCOS, I want you to know that there is hope. There is so much you can do to support your body. And I hope this video landed for you. And if acne is one of the symptoms you're really struggling with, I have another video just talking about things that contribute to imbalances that kind of manifest as acne on our skin. And I invite you to go back and watch that one. It just kind of expands on some of the discussion that we've had today.